Hump Day, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prom Sports World. And today on the show, we're going to be giving you our full 2022-23 fantasy football entire season projections, who we think are going to be the top 15 players in fantasy at every single position in the NFL, outside of kicker, because we do not rank kickers. Of course, our host, David On Point, right there, CEO of Prom Sports World, Mr. Israel Rivera. Thank you very much for joining us. And if you're looking for consistent content, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, you've come to the right place. Prime Sports World goes live basically every single day, bringing you the most up-to-date content. If you want to miss that content, including next week, where we're going to give you our do's and don'ts of fantasy football, and we're going to give you our draft strategy when it comes to every single position in the NFL. When it comes to your draft, what to take them, what to do. We're going to try to help you guys out and help you win your league. Hopefully, if you watched a lot of our show last week, it was helpful and you were able to win your league. I came in second place in most of my leagues, so pretty good job. But yeah, I've been David Huppman right there, Sister Rivera. And what's up, buddy? How are you, man? Happy Hump Day, my friend. Also, real quick, I have shared the StreamYard link into all of the places, including our main Prime Sports World Facebook page. So if you want to talk to us about some fantasy football, jump onto the show. Also, please like, share, and subscribe to the show because we do go live every day.
Yeah, if you jump on here, you better know your stuff about fantasy. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
because you will enter the Lions Den. That's all I gotta say.
It's true.
Anyways,
so it's the things before we get into our individual rankings, like stuff that just you've noticed, like about the NFL this season, or like fantasy rankings, or while you're doing this particular ranking, because we haven't done a ranking show since I think right after the draft. So it's been a while. We did our way too early rankings, like we did right after the draft. We did right after the season as well. So like, have things changed from like then to now that substantially, or?
I would think so with like free agency and stuff like that in the draft. I would think that certain things would change. It's been a week or so now with training camp, rookie camp, stuff like that. So teams got a better feel for what those rookies are, how those rookies are going to contribute in their offense or their defense, for that matter. So things have changed a little bit. I know you. There's a couple of guys that I could just mention. I could just throw out there. For example, like Breece Hall, for example. I know you criticized the New York Jets, right, for drafting Breece Hall because they got Michael Carter, they got this guy, that guy,
Tevin Coleman.
It's Tevin Coleman, but it's starting to look like Breece Hall is going to be the guy.
I agree with you. I think he will. I think he will be the guy. We'll see. Yeah, I think there's a lot of situations like that.
That's just one example of just like. How teams have gotten a better understanding of how these young guys are going to contribute. And then also, I think when we last did our rankings, like teams were still adding players to free agency. Yeah. Players were still shifting around. So now we got a better feel, suspensions, right? For example,
DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson. For example, Alvin Kamara, right? He's dipped down a little bit in our rankings. He's not going to start the season suspended because the legal issues have kind of it's going to be like a couple months into the season or like a month into the season before we know what happens with his legal situation that happened in Vegas on draft day, right? That was on draft day.
No, it was the day before the Pro Bowl.
Oh, the day before the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
And so it was around Super Bowl. So the thing is that with Alvin Kamara, he's dipped down in the rankings because we're anticipating that once video and
I gotta be totally honest with you. I do not think Alvin Kamara is going to get suspended for that.
We don't know.
I think the league just doesn't care. Like
I know, and it's starting to look like, okay, if it doesn't, and I hate to say this, if it doesn't involve, if it's not like a domestic situation, then the league's like, you just beat the crap out of a fan that spit on you or something like that. And that's exactly what kind of happened, right? So my thing is, so Alvin Kamara might get suspended in the middle of the season for like a couple games, or they may say, you know what? We're gonna wipe our hands of this season, and we may give you something next season.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Rankings with him.
Let's talk about the quarterback position. Those pass catchers. I'm going to go first. So my top 15 pass catchers, and I got three sleepers. So last time we did a show, we talked about rookies. This time it's just straight sleepers. So number 1, Josh Allen, obviously going to be the MVP of the league probably. Justin Herbert, 2, 3, Joe Burrow, 4, Patrick Mahomes, 5, Jalen Hurts. I am much higher on Jalen Hurts as a fantasy quarterback than I am on him as a reality quarterback. But he does get the rushing yards, and I think he will be very good in fantasy. I think he's going to do a lot worse than Jalen Hurts as your quarterback in fantasy. Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, 8 is Russell Wilson, 9, Tom Brady, 10, Kirk Cousins. I got Tom Brady on there twice. Don't worry about it. Derek Carr is number 12, 13, Matthew Stafford, 14, Aaron Rodgers, and 15 is Justin Fields. And then my sleepers are Trevor Lawrence, Daniel Jones, and Zach Wilson. The thought process behind Trevor Lawrence, they added a lot of weapons. They boosted up that offensive line. So I think he's going to have some fantasy value there, and you can probably get him pretty late in your draft. Same thing with Zach Wilson. He's looked really good in free agency, and they have a really good wide receiver group that they're going to be rolling out. Also, they added a good tight end. Daniel Jones, if Brian Daboll can do some magic with Daniel Jones, he could take a step. I mean, they have some weapons on offense. The offensive line should be better this season. So we'll see what ends up happening with that.
So with quarterbacks, in my opinion, it's hard to pick. It's hard to say, okay, this quarterback's going to be a sleeper, right? Because it's like it's just like, okay, after a certain amount, if you wait, like if you're in like a 14-man league, right, and you wait. I mean, you could be very well pick a Carson Wentz. I hate when guys pick 2 quarterbacks. It's like, why are you picking 2 quarterbacks for? Why are you picking Jalen Hurts and then picking Matthew Stafford?
I guess it depends on the league.
I know, but it's like, what's the point of that, right? So it depends. So when I pick sleepers, you pick like guys that were like Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence and who else you got? Zach Wilson?
Yeah.
You got Zach Wilson as well? So my sleepers were guys that moved to another team that are probably going to get picked low later in the draft or later after the first 15 guys that I chosen. So anyways, I'll start with number 1. Josh Allen, we're respectful on that. Justin Herbert, we're right there on there. And number 3, I got Pat Mahomes. Number 4, I got Jalen Hurts. And we're right there, right? Jalen Hurts is going to be a top 5 guy, in my opinion, because he gives you that rushing aspect. We yet to see. I mean, he threw for 3,000 yards last season. I mean, anybody could do that now in the NFL in their sleep. Let's see if he can become in that upper echelon where he's like throwing 35 to 3,800, close to 4,000, and then he gives you close to 1,000 on the ground with 10+ rushing touchdowns. He'll definitely be top 5 easily when it's all said and done. At number 5, Lamar Jackson. Number 6, Kyler Murray. Number 7, Joe Burrow. I'm a little lower on Joe Burrow, just because I got guys ahead of him that are going to contribute more on the ground. Kyler Murray gives me more on the ground. Lamar Jackson gives me more on the ground. Jalen Hurts gives me more on the ground. So adding those rushing touchdowns near the goal line are, kind of contribute right to what their point total is going to be. So I got Joe Burrow at 7. Number 8, Dak Prescott. He's not much of a runner as he used to be, more of a pocket passer. He's going to take a slight dip because Amari Cooper's not there. Michael Gallup's injured. He only really has CeeDee Lamb and Bobby Schultz' cousin Dalton Schultz. He's the only guy that he has to really throw to. So we'll see what happens there. And then at number 9, Russell Wilson. He has a bevy of weapons there. He's still top 10 fantasy quarterback. At number 10, Matthew Stafford. Godly, let me pull up my thing right here. I'm sorry about that, guys. And then at number 11, I got Aaron Rodgers. Number 12, I got Tom Brady. Number 13, I got Derek Carr. These are on my outside looking in. 14, Kirk Cousins. 15, Tua Tagovailoa. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. See, this is my thing, okay? I'm sorry, guys. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. Like, he's been playing awesome his last 2 seasons. But, when it comes to the fantasy, it's just like, he'll throw for a lot of yards, but is he going to give me a lot of touchdowns? That's my thing.
I think Kirk Cousins is going to have an amazing season. I mean, if Irv Smith Jr. comes back and he's like even close to what he was before he got injured, like you're looking for a guy that's going to be putting up like nearly 5,000 yards this season.
Yeah, that's a lot. But hey, if he pulls up for 5,000 yards, he's definitely top 10 quarterback. But I'll say this: Kirk Cousins is a guy that you can see this year. You can actually pick some skill guys, wait a little bit, and get a guy like Kirk Cousins and complete your fantasy team. And later on. And then my sleeper picks are Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, and Jameis Winston. And really, people are going to be like, those guys aren't really sleepers. Those guys are established and stuff like that. But, Matt Ryan at the tail end of his career in Indy, kind of with a little bit of a revival there.
Not to mention he wasn't good at all last season in Atlanta.
Yeah,
like you could not start Matt Ryan if you had Matt Ryan on your fantasy team, your team wasn't good.
Yeah, he wasn't good. So that's
he could for sure bounce back. Carson Wentz, the same thing.
I think the comeback's real with Matt Ryan. Carson Wentz, he had a good year in Indy. But he can have somewhat of a, the people kind of slept on him. Last year he had a pretty good year. I mentioned when it comes to fantasy, he's put up some numbers, but there's been some games where he's put up some duds. So I think in fantasy this year, I think Washington might rely on him a little bit more than Indy did, but we'll see. And then Jameis Winston, right? Jameis Winston coming off the ACL injury. He started off the year hot, and if Jameis Winston can come back, this year hard, you can get him in the later rounds. And if he has a good year, that's definitely a nice sleeper pick. The problem I have with your sleeper picks is that I just don't really have a lot of trust in Trevor Lawrence, Daniel Jones, and Zach Wilson because of the fact that
they are Hail Mary swings for damn sure.
Hail Mary swings for sure. Like if you're in a 2-quarterback league, those are guys that you probably like. If you're like the third to last pick, those are guys you pick.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Zach Wilson has immense upside. I mean, like the guy has rocket for an arm. I mean, they do have some real nice
big hands.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, all the talent. I mean, Travis Etienne's coming back. So I guess we'll see. Moving on from the quarterback position, let's talk about those running backs. Let's go top 10, top 15 running backs and your sleepers. Go ahead.
So top 10, number one, if you don't pick Derrick Henry, you're just I don't know what's wrong with you, brother. Yeah, Derrick Henry's back. He's gonna get a lot of touches next year or this season. So Derrick Henry's got to be the number one ranked fantasy running back, barring injury. Number two, Jonathan Taylor. Like our man Christian Simpson says, if you got two first names, you gotta have game, right? Jonathan Taylor, led the league in rushing last season.
Yes, he did 1,600 yards, something like that.
Yeah, and so he was really good last season. So Jonathan Taylor is number 2 on my list. Number 3, I got Dalvin Cook. At number 4, I got Austin Eckler. At number 5, I got Joe Mixon. I really believe in Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon.
I clearly believe in him too. I got him in my
rankings. Yeah, you got him in the top 5 too, buddy. At number 6, I got Najee Harris. Number 7, Nick Chubb. Number 8, Christian McCaffrey. I seen a lot of rankings that had Christian McCaffrey in the top 5. Unless he can prove that he can stay on the damn field, he is not a top 5 fantasy running back. I'm so sick of this narrative where we're going to pick Christian McCaffrey in the first 2 rounds of a fantasy football draft, and he does not stay healthy. He is not a top 5 running back.
I will not own Chris McCaffrey in any league that I'm playing in this season, period.
At any time, I will stay far as hell away from Christian McCaffrey. Sorry about that, guy. At number 9, I got Aaron Jones. Number 10, DeAndre Swift. I really love DeAndre Swift this year. At number 11, I got Saquon Barkley. At number 12, Alvin Kamara. And I'm so sorry, guys. If you guys think I'm like being over precautious with his situation, I am. I'm sorry. I don't want to own Alvin Kamara, and then the NFL be like, hey, we're going to give you a 4-game suspension because we saw a video of how you beat this guy to smithereens. I don't want to be that owner. So I'm going to stay away from Alvin Kamara in the earlier rounds. If he's there in the 3rd or 4th round, which he may not be, probably won't be, I'm going to get him. But I'm not picking him in the first 2 rounds. I'm sorry. At number 13, I got Devontae Williams. Number 14, I got James Conner. Led the league in rushing touchdowns. That's something in everything right there.
I think he may have led the league in touchdowns, period.
In touchdowns, period. He's definitely a goal line threat. He's going to be another goal line threat this season. And then at number 15, I got David Montgomery. Why? Because he's going to have a high usage in Chicago. They're going to rely on him a lot in the screen game. They're going to rely on him a lot giving him the football. Tariq Cohen's out for the season once again. So David Montgomery's going to
Tariq Cohen is being released. Like Khalil Herbert's his only backup.
Yeah, Khalil. Yeah, Tariq Cohen. You said Tariq Cohen's been released?
Yeah.
Oh, he's been released. Okay. But that was he had injured himself in the offseason, though, prior to that. If I'm not mistaken. But anyways, sleeper picks. Khalil Herbert is his backup. Because sleeper picks, Breece Hall, New York Jets. Probably he was the best. And next, okay, in college football, I watch a lot of college football. Do a college football show here for Prime Such World. Brees Hall is in the last 2 years in college football was probably the most balanced and best running back in college football. He can do it all out the backfield. And I think the New York Jets see that already, that he's ahead of his game, already ahead of his trajectory as a rookie running back. I think Brees Hall is a guy that can block and pass protection. He's a guy that can cast the ball out the backfield. He's a guy that can run between the tackles, outside the tackles. He's a guy that I think can have 1,000 yards easily for the New York Jets if they, give him the football. If they don't fall back in many games, right? And then my second sleeper pick is Chase Edmonds. I think Chase Edmonds is going to be really big in Miami. I think he's gonna his upside is high there in Miami. I think adding Tyreek Hill, with Jalen Waddle, those guys are gonna just open a lot of things up for Chase Edmonds. But he's a really good running back when he gets the football. We saw that in Arizona. And then my third sleeper pick is Kenneth Walker III. Why? Because there's nobody else in Seattle that's going to get the football. And Kenneth Walker led college football in rushing last season. And Kenneth Walker is a guy that can run in between the tackles and run outside the tackles. He's got breakaway speed. And there is, again, nobody in Seattle getting the football. He's going to be the guy that's going to get the football.
I mean, there is Rashard Penny. There's a whole Rashard Penny.
Whatever. I don't care about him.
I mean, that guy spent like 3 seasons not breaking out. I agree with you.
I don't care about him.
Our sleeper picks are actually very interestingly similar. Let's talk about my ranking. So let's go back through it. Derrick Henry, obviously number 1. Jonathan Taylor 2. Austin Eckler 3. I'm a little bit higher on Austin Eckler than you are, but not by much. I just think that he's going to be so important to that offense. That he's going to be doing it all for them. Number 4, I got Joe Mixon. I got him even higher than you do. 5, Nick Chubb. As long as Deshaun Watson is going to be out, Nick Chubb is going to be the bell cow. And especially now that Kareem Hunt wants to get traded out of there, yeah, I could see Nick Chubb having close to 400 touches this season. 6, Dalvin Cook. I'm a little concerned about his past injury concern. He seems to always have some injury every single year. So I'm a little bit lower than him and than you are. 7, Aaron Jones. I know that A.J. Dillon's there, but I think Aaron Jones is the more versatile running back. 8, Alvin Kamara. This is as far as I can drop him because I still think that I don't think he's going to get suspended. I don't think the NFL even cares. The 9, Najee Harris. Their offensive line is not good, and they're going to be playing against with the quarterback play that's questionable at best this season. 10, David Montgomery, as you mentioned, yeah, his usage rate is going to be through the roof. And then Antonio Gibson, player I think a little underrated this year in fantasy, playing for the Washington Commanders, which is still the worst nickname in sports. Yeah, I think he's going to have a higher use rate. I think they're going to allow him to run the ball. I don't think they're going to ask, Carson Wentz to win that many games for them. 12, James Conner, same thing as you talked about, led the league in touchdowns. DeAndre Swift, love DeAndre Swift as long as he can stay healthy. 14, Chris McCaffrey. This is how far down I have Chris McCaffrey. As I mentioned, I will not own him this season. I just won't. Like, he is not worth the gamble. 15 is Zeke Elliott. I still think there's value there. I still think he's going to be the bell cow there. I know he's going to get some touches taken from him, but Zeke Elliott's still going to be a good player. My sleepers, Travis Etienne, got to basically sit for his entire rookie season with that injury, coming back to that offense. Should be used all over the place in that offense. And James Robinson's coming off an Achilles injury. So its timetable's a little bit murky about when he's actually going to come back. So Travis Etienne should get all of the touches. Raheem Mostert, the different Miami Dolphins running back on my sleeper pick. Raheem Mostert, where did he play before? San Francisco. Who did Mike McDaniels coach last season? San Francisco. So I think Raheem Mostert chose Miami because he knows he's going to get some workload there. Miami has I think that they did a stat where they have the 3 fastest touchdowns, or 3 of the 5 fastest touchdowns in the last 5 years. Raheem Mostert, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle all had touchdowns where they ran over 25 miles or 22 miles an hour on a touchdown. That's some serious speed. Raheem Mostert's a good running back when he's healthy. And 3, Kenneth Walker. Agree with you. I think I don't believe in Rashad Penny. He's had a bunch of time to be the guy as a first-round pick for the Seattle Seahawks, and he never was able to. He was overtaken by Chris Carson every opportunity. Sadly, Chris Carson had to retire. I love the Kenneth Walker thing. I think that's a pretty smart one. I think he's going to be really good this season.
Yeah, and I agree. I think with Chase Edmonds, he gives you a little bit more in the passing game, right? He gets you a little bit more catching the ball on third down, change of pace guy. Raheem Mostert is going to get a bulk, a good chunk of the rushing carries. I think they may split the load, there in Miami, but that's a hell of a 2-man
It is.
backfield.
I still have Myles Gaskin who's still on this team. They've been trying to trade him, but I don't think that's going to happen. But he wasn't really all that good last season, so I think that's why they went on free agency and signed 2 guys. Even though they have a bunch of players on their roster, they have Ahmed who's on that team too.
Yeah, Savon Ahmed. Yeah, I like him too.
Yeah, so we'll see. Moving on from the running backs, we're going to swing into the wide receivers. My number 1 wide receiver, and you see where I have Davante Adams. Yeah, I think there's going to be a changing of the guard when it comes to the wide receiver position based on the quarterback play for the Las Vegas Raiders. 1, Cooper Kupp. 2, Stephon Diggs. 3, Deebo Samuel. 4, Stephon Diggs on there twice. God damn it. Justin Jefferson. 5, 6, Jamar Chase. 7, Davante Adams. 8, Tyreek Hill. 9, Keenan Allen. And 10 is Terry McLaurin. And then my 11 through 15, I got A.J. Brown. As long as he stays healthy. Mike Evans at 12, CeeDee Lamb at 13, Tyler Lockett at 14. I still think he has value, even though, the quarterback situation there is a little bit murky at best. And then Jerry Jeudy. I mean, we all had Russell Wilson in the top 10 in our fantasy ranking, so he's obviously going to have to throw to somebody. And I think Jerry Jeudy is probably going to be the best guy, especially now that Tim Patrick's hurt. And then my sleepers, Michael Thomas. Calling Michael Thomas a sleeper because kind of feels weird.
Yeah.
But apparently he looks really good in training camp, but we talk about this all the time. Of course he looks good in training camp. Everybody does. And then Michael Pittman Jr. and Kadarius Toney is the guy I have at number 3 as my sleeper. I think, the rumors out of him is that he looked really good in training camp. He had one really good game last season, so look for him to maybe build on that from the season to the next season. But yeah, those are the wide receiver rankings. That's how I have them ranked.
Kadarius Toney. I like Kadarius Toney. His yards after catch is something to look at. The Giants have some sneaky guys that they have some talent. Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney. You still got Godly. What's his name? Sterling Shepard, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So you still got some guys there. That are in New York that can really move around and they're real talented. It just depends on if Daniel Jones can give them the ball. But I like Kadarius Toney. He's fast. He's you can put him in a lot of jet sweep action. He's good after the catch. You can put him on some bubble screen actions as well. He can get you 10, 15 yards here and there off of some plays. So, yeah, I like that sleeper pick. Yeah. Michael Thomas. I heard in training camp, man, Michael Thomas had in the red zone, man, he had in the red zone or something like that in the 20, the red zone. He had 4 catches for 4 touchdowns in training camp against his first team defense. So Michael Thomas is looking amazing in training camp.
He set the record for receptions in a season. That doesn't happen on accident. The guy's talented.
Yeah, he is. He's super talented. I just hope that he's healthy this year. And if he is healthy, he's definitely I'm sorry, Michael Thomas. I was a little disrespectful. I didn't have you in my top 15 or any of my sleepers, but you can prove me wrong. If you play well and you're healthy, you will be a top 15 wide receiver this year. Anyways, starting my rankings here. Let me pull them up real quick. I have at number 1 Cooper Kupp. At number 2, come on, man, Davante Adams.
Man, I thought you'd be the bigger hater than I would be.
I can't. Hey, I can hate the player, but I can't hate the game, baby. Davante Adams with Derek Carr. Obviously they were teammates in college. They're really good friends. I think that it's like anytime when you meet your best friend and you haven't seen him in a few years or you haven't been with him, I think you just pick up right when you left off, right? And I think those two guys, they had such a great connection in college. I think he's one of those. I think Derek Carr does a lot of the same things that, he's not as talented at throwing the ball as Aaron Rodgers, but he can still throw a good back shoulder fade. He can still throw a good accurate slant pass. But the only thing that Davante Adams, I will say this, is that he does have Hunter Renfrow. He does have Darren Waller to compete with in terms of those touches. So, that's one thing that might take his uses down a little bit this season. But I still think he's a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy.
I got him at 6. I
know. I can't hate. I can't hate on that. All right, and then at number 3, I got Justin Jefferson. Number 4, Jamar Chase. Number 5, CeeDee Lamb. I don't know where you have CeeDee Lamb. Do you have him in the bottom half? I think you do. CeeDee Lamb, in my opinion, there's no Amari Cooper, no Michael Gallup. You only have Dalton Schultz.
I had CeeDee Lamb at 13, so
to compete with. Yes, I think CeeDee Lamb is a guy he's gonna go into that upper echelon. He's gonna take another level up this season. He's
I
a
mean,
top five.
he better because I mean they've made a commitment to him. So
They did. He's a top 5 wide receiver. He better be a top 5 fantasy wide receiver this season.
I don't personally see it, but
I hear you. He's gonna get a lot of usage though. And then number 6,
I would rather have Stephon Diggs and Debo Samuel, the guys that you have, and Tyreek Hill.
Well, they're right. Well, I got them all right there, jumbled in right next to each other. So it's really close between.
I would rather have those 3 guys by a pretty wide margin
ahead of them. Okay,
yeah.
all right.
I don't know, man.
I got them close, man. Honestly, 5, 6, and 7, you can mismatch them any type of way, and you can even, I mean, like Tyreek Hill's. I think Tyreek Hill's right where he needs to be. So, anyways, because he's playing with Tua, so he's not playing with Pat no more. Pat Mahomes. Anyways, at number 6, I got Stephon Diggs. Number 7, I got Debo Samuel. Number 8, Tyreek Hill, as I just mentioned. Number 9, Mike Evans. Number 10, T. Higgins. I got two teammates there in the top 10 there. Usually I would have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, right? But Chris Godwin's been injured, was injured last year, so we got to see how he comes back. But
his timetable's a little bit murky about when he's even going to return.
Yeah, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are a great 1-2 punch. And then at number 11, I got AJ Brown. At number 12, I got Keenan Allen. That's so disrespectful, in my opinion. I'm so sorry, Keenan Allen. You should be higher on my rankings, in my opinion. But Keenan Allen year after year has just been the model of consistency, right?
Yeah, you have his teammate. You have him and his teammate literally back to back. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I have 2 sets of teammates back to back. So I got Keenan Allen, then I got Mike Williams. So I got 2 sets of teammates, wide receivers, duos, in my rankings, my top 15. And then at number 14, I got Michael Pittman Jr. And then at number 15, I got Terry McLaurin. Just, Terry McLaurin, had 250 plus receptions since he's got in the league. That's like the highest.
He just upgraded his quarterback play. He literally just signed a big time extension
deal. You know what I mean? Terry McLaurin should have the juice this year. That's what I like to call the juice. When you sign a fat deal, you get a better quarterback. He should take his game to another level as well. He might be higher when it's all said and done in terms of fantasy, but we'll see. And then my sleepers, my second round gem, my second year gem, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's gonna be a fantasy sleeper this year. And then my another second year gem, I got Devonta Smith from the Philadelphia Eagles on here.
And of course you have Sky Moore on there.
And then as my rookie wide receivers, I got to pick a rookie here as a sleeper, right? I got Sky Moore. I think Sky Moore is going to be one of the better rookies this year. I love Sky Moore in Kansas City's offense. I think he's going to be a fantasy sleeper. I think when it's all said and done, I think Pat Mahomes is going to love this kid, and he's going to give him the ball a lot this season. So Sky Moore, my third sleeper, call it like it is.
I don't necessarily hate any of those. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown did enough last season. I think Devontae Smith is. I'm not even sure I'd classify him as a sleeper. Like I think people know how good he is now. Like Sky Moore, I think no Tyreek Hill. A little bit of question marks at the other wide receiver spots. They brought MVS in, but as Packer fans, you know all about him. They brought in Juju Smith-Schuster, but if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you know about him. Yeah, so Sky Moore could be the guy, end up being the guy. And he does a very similar skill set to what Tyreek Hill brought to the table. I think your rankings are awesome. I think the only thing I have questions about is having Mike Williams and Keenan Allen both in your top 15. But the fact that the Chargers are going to throw the ball as much as they're both going to have value this season.
The same type of value that T. Higgins and Jamar Chase kind of have with Joe Burrow. That's the way I look at it. And I look at it as, okay, man, we kind of got robbed because if Chris Godwin wasn't like injured, we'd have 3 duos in my top 15.
You would have 3.
I would have 3. I would have 3 duos.
I absolutely never put duos in my rankings. I usually just pick one, which I've gotten burnt by a lot actually. So I shouldn't even talk smack. But let's move on from the wide receivers to those other pass catchers, your tight ends. Let's get into your rankings.
All right. At number 1, Travis Kelce. He's the best tight end in the league. Number 2, Mark Andrews. Number 3, George Kittle. number 4, Kyle Pitts, and number 5, Darren Waller. Those guys should be the top 5 all season long, week to week in my fantasy rankings, no matter what, barring injury. I think all 5 of those guys they have so much value in their offense, especially the first 2 guys. And Kyle Pitts. I mean, Darren Waller is going to take a little bit of a hit now that you had Devontae Adams, but he's still a top 5 tight end in my opinion. And then at numbers and TJ, if you're watching, he has proved it to me again. Okay, so that's all I got to say. At number 6, TJ Hockenson. Number 7, Dallas Goedert. Number 8, Dalton Schultz, Bobby Schultz' cousin. There we go. Number 9, Dawson Knox. Number 10, Pat Freiermuth. Golly, depending on the quarterback situation, I think Pat Freiermuth is going to have a lot of value.
I don't think it matters. Like the tight end is the selfie valve, like the safety valve of the quarterback. I think no matter who the quarterback is, I think Pat Freiermuth is going to have immense value. Like I didn't have him in my top 10, but I got him in my top 15, and he's going to have value this season. If you're one of those guys that wants to be one of those guys that takes a tight end, like the last person to take a tight end, you can certainly do worse than Pat Freiermuth for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And then at number 11, my kind of pretty much number at my outside looking in out of my top 10, but number 11 I got Zach Ertz. Number 12 I got Hunter Henry. Number 13 Mike Gesicki. You're a big fan of Mike Gesicki. I got him in my top 15.
I was a big fan of Mike Gesicki.
You were a big fan.
I was certainly cooled off of him.
And then at number 14. Irv Smith Jr. makes my top 15. I know he was out most of the season last season, but Irv Smith Jr. all the season, yeah. Yeah, Irv Smith Jr. is a guy that he has so much upside, so much talent. He's so fast. He's a mismatch problem on a lot of linebackers. I'm sorry. This guy, Irv Smith Jr., can be the real deal at the tight end position for the Minnesota Vikings. So I love Irv Smith Jr. He's in my top 15. And then at number 15,
not to mention they don't have anybody else.
Yeah, and they don't have anybody else, right?
And then, whatever the dude that was there last year is now in New York or something. So
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And then at number 15, we got Cole Kmet here. I've heard really good things about Cole Kmet in training camp. I heard he's been getting a lot of good separation. They've been putting him in the slot a lot. So I like Cole Kmet.
I mean, he's talented. 15. So
yeah, he's super talented, but we'll see. What kind of step he takes up. And then my sleepers, I got Albert O in Denver. I got Logan Thomas in Washington. He just continues to get better at the tight end position. As we all know, he was a quarterback at Virginia Tech, and then he got transitioned over. He was super big. He got transitioned over, super athletic. Got transitioned over to the tight end position. He's still kind of learning the position, but I mean, by now. Man, Logan Thomas has gotten – can you agree? He's gotten better every year since he's been a tight end.
I'm concerned about his injury history.
That's true.
He's basically never finished a full season. And last season, I think he tore his ACL. I'm not sure when he's even going to be ready to play this season. But yeah, if you can like stash him on your roster, if your league has an IR spot, and you could just stash Logan Thomas until he comes back, I think that's probably worth it.
Yeah, and then
he could be really good next season, like at the end, like in the middle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he's a big fast target. So at the tight end position, and then my third sleeper is my rookie tight end, the Mackey Award winner Trey McBride. I think this kid. I know he plays with Zach Ertz in Arizona, but was Zach Ertz kind of at the tail end of his career? Kind of at the end, huh?
He's not even that old. I mean, never mind.
But I mean, he's been injured, and his usage has been up. And
it's true.
He's been injured. You know what I mean? He's had some scrapes, some bumps, some bruises. He's been getting injured lately in his last couple seasons. And I mean, I know he was healthy relatively in Arizona, but Zach Ertz usage might come down a little bit. And I like Trey McBride. I think he's the next man. He's the next tight end up in Arizona. As Zach Ertz is starting to phase out. This is Zach Ertz's last couple years in the league, in my opinion, 2 or 3 years in the league. I think Trey McBride, you'll start to see Trey McBride this year. He can be a fantasy sleeper, especially if Zach Ertz. I would do like a stash. I have him as a handcuff just in case. I'd have him as a handcuff.
I would maybe a deep league, but I absolutely refuse to draft a tight end handcuff. Like that just doesn't make.
Well, look, check it out. If you have a dynasty league too,
dynasty league, I don't hate that. Like the thought process there is much better than handcuffing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you have a dynasty league, which I'm gonna be in a dynasty league this year, I'm definitely going to pick a guy like Trey McBride. I'm going to pick a guy like a Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker, and I'm going to keep him on my bench. And I'm going to keep him until, the wheels fall. You know what I'm saying? Until that you start to see that they're prominent fantasy contributors. So Trey McBride makes my sleepers. So.
Totally agree with you on the Trey McBride in fantasy mode. If you're playing a dynasty league, yeah, for sure. Moving on to mine. So number 1, I had Travis Kelce, 2, Mark Andrews. So when I first did these rankings last night at like 10 o'clock at night, or maybe it had been 11 o'clock my time, I actually had Mark Andrews ahead of Travis Kelce, and then I got home from work today. And I looked at my rankings. I was like, "What was I thinking?" I'm like, no. And I fixed it. So I have Travis Kelce at 1, Mark Andrews at 2. Although
it's close.
I do see a scenario where Mark Andrews has the highest usage rate of any tight end in the league next season. When you look at the situation in Baltimore, their wide receiving core is questionable at best. But outside of like
Rashad
Bateman and Duvernay, I can't name another guy on that team that plays wide receiver for them. I just can't. Like,
I'm in agreement with you. I think but they have Mark Andrews. Who's the other tight end that they have? Because they have 2 tight ends that they'll probably be throwing it. They always have like 2 tight ends.
Nobody knows. I mean, their pass catching, like their pass catchers are going to be. It's gonna be dicey. Mark Andrews might lead the like tight ends in receptions and yards, and I could see a scenario Mark Andrews is number 1 tight end next season for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Mark Andrews definitely has. He is gonna have that value. I think. I can't even. Who's the third wide receiver? James Prochet and Jalen. You got Jalen. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But it's just like him. Who are these guys that are catching the football in Baltimore? And Nick Boyle's your tight end. Isaiah Likely is the guy that they drafted that they like.
I mean,
Likely.
Number 3, I got George Kittle. By the way, that dumpster fire of a team that I sent you that roster on, I'm probably going to use George Kittle as my keeper in that league because I don't have that team is bad. It's real bad.
You gotta keep the Canadian.
4, Darren Waller. 5, Kyle Pitts. 7, Dallas Goedert. A little bit lower on Kyle Pitts than you are. I'm a little bit higher on Dallas Goedert than you are. Not by much, but just by 1 spot. 7, Bobby Schultz's cousin, Mr. Dalton Schultz. 8, Zach Ertz. I'm a little bit higher on Zach Ertz. 9, Dawson Knox, and of course, I'm a little bit higher than you are than on Mike Gesicki. And then 11, I have TJ Hawkinson. I'm a lot lower on TJ Hawkinson than you are. I'm with the emergence of the wide receivers in that situation in Detroit, I can see a scenario where his usage rate is lower than it has been in past seasons. 12, Pat Fryermuth. 13, Cole Kmet. 14, Hunter Henry. And 15, I got Tyler Higbee. And my sleepers are 1, Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett is probably going to be the guy. So my usually we're going to talk about draft strategy next week, but I'm usually the guy. I take a tight end. I'll be the last one to take a tight end. Like I'm not reaching for one. I think outside of the elite, and you got to get those in like the first couple rounds. I'm not drafting a tight end. Gerald Everett would probably be the guy that I try to target. I look for him to be the safety valve for Justin Herbert. Look at what Jared Cook did last season.
Mm-hmm.
Had a pretty good season last year at the tight end position. So Gerald Everett he's a little more talented and younger than Jared Cook at this point. So I can see him having a big time season. Alberto, we're in agreement. You take Noah Fant out of that offense, Alberto automatically becomes the number 1 guy. And then Cameron Brate. So who does Tom Brady?
No, Rob Gronkowski.
No Rob Gronkowski, no O.J. Howard. Cameron Brate is kind of the last man standing there. Tom Brady kind of has a tendency to throw the football to the tight end a lot. So look for Cameron Brate to have a pretty decent season this year.
No, I totally agree. Let me go back on the T.J. Hockenson thing. The only thing that concerns me about T.J. Hockenson is some of the injuries that he has. He's had like concussion injuries. He's had some injuries that concern me in a way. But when I look at T.J. Hockenson, he is the best tight end in the NFC North. And he might be the best. He might be one of the best tight ends in the NFC, period. When you look at the tight ends
did George Kittle retire and I didn't hear about it?
No. He might be one of the best. Dude. I think he's more talented than Dallas Goedert. I think he's more talented than Dalton Schultz. I think he's more talented than Zach Ertz, obviously, at this point in his career. Yeah, George Kittle, you could say, yeah. And then, he's up there with, Kyle Pitts is amazing, but, at least T.J. Hockenson is more of a red zone threat. Kyle Pitts, he's got to show me that he can score some touchdowns down there. I mean, and his quarterback play is going to be a little murky, right? You got Mariota and you got Desmond Ridder. as your
True.
quarterback. So Kyle Pitts. So when I look at T.J. Hockenson, that's why I got him so high. I got him at on the top 6 because I think he is going to be relied on. I know Amon-Ra St. Brown has emerged. Jameson Williams is probably we don't even know when he's going to play.
They have Josh Reynolds on that team.
Josh Reynolds is on that team, but still, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's you're not a secret anymore, right? Even though you're a sleeper in my rankings, you ain't a sleeper to some of these cornerbacks. You're going to get QB1. I mean, you're going to get cornerback 1 on you every single game. So T.J. Hockenson is going to have to be that safety valve for Jared Goff, which I think he is going to be.
So, David Henderson. So, for some reason, we're still not seeing comments on StreamYard. Something we'll have to deal with probably today or tomorrow. But David Henderson's commented on the Facebook page. No, where's the respect for Big Bob Tunyon? And
Bob Tunyon.
I gotta tell you, the fact that you don't have him ranked. It's pretty shocking to me. I know he's coming off the ACL tear, man, but I thought for sure he'd be somewhere in your top 10. And
No. I think he's starting the league. I think he's starting the season on the physically unable to perform list right now. He's on the pup list right now.
Yeah, probably. But
no, he's not. I think he is on the pup list right now.
David Henderson thinks we're being a little disrespectful.
My thing is the year before he had 10 plus touchdowns at the tight end position. He had great value. He was a top 10 tight end that season 2 years ago when they made the NFC Championship. Then last year he started off the season a little.
Yeah,
he didn't start off the season too well, and I think it's because it's like what TJ says, right? TJ says, "Show me again," right? Yeah. And teams start the game plan for you. They start to know the plays that you're.
He's the number 2 weapon. I mean, the linebacker. They probably shield a linebacker too. I mean, like Devontae Adams and him. That's like 1-2. Like
and then he tears his ACL. So he's definitely got to show me again. And he's definitely got he's definitely going to be a target for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. Now, my thing is that, golly, man, I don't know how much Aaron Rodgers utilizing a tight end.
Yeah.
He doesn't throw it to him as much. We had Jimmy Graham. He didn't throw it to him that much. We had Jared Cook. Jared Cook was probably remember when we had Jared Cook?
Yeah.
That was probably and then I remember Jermichael Finley, not Jermichael Finley, but Jared Cook was probably the last best tight end that played for Green Bay. So my thing is Aaron Rodgers doesn't utilize these guys too much. So my thing, if he has the red zone, he might be a red zone threat in my opinion. But I'm sorry, David Henry, he's not in my top 15. He's got to show me again.
I agree with you 100%. If he's not catching touchdowns, I don't think he's worth starting.
He's not worth starting. No.
Moving on to our defensive rankings, I will go first. So I got I got the Philadelphia Eagles as my number 1 defense. I love what they've done this offseason, adding the Jordan Davis in the draft, also getting Jacoby Dean, also adding James Bradbury without having to lose anything. The New Orleans Saints. I expect this to be the best run stopping defense in the NFL. Look what they did in the offseason too, adding the Honey Badger. The Bills at 3, adding Von Miller to an already good defense. 4 is the Rams, 5 is the Indianapolis Colts, 6 is the Chargers. Last time we did our rankings, I was too low on the Chargers. I rectified that because I do think the Chargers are the best defense potentially in the AFC West. Not that it's saying a lot. 7, Green Bay. Yeah, I think if the Green Bay Packers end up going to the Super Bowl, I do not think it'll be because of their offense. I think it'll be because of their defense. You look at they should have good edge rushing. They should have, they have one of the top 5 corners in the NFL. However you want to put Alexander on that ranking, he's in
top 10 5. Inside linebacker as well.
Yeah. And then they got the Miami Dolphins. They still have 2 of the best corners in the NFL. The 49ers should be able to generate pass rusher, and they added Tre'Davious Ward. 10, Tampa Bay. 11 is the Dallas Cowboys, should be able to generate takeaways. 12 is the Ravens. 13, Pittsburgh Steelers. 14, Denver Broncos. And 15 is the Cleveland Browns. And then my sleepers. First of all, I got the Carolina Panthers. They were a top 10 defense last season, even though they were on the field a lot. You think if they have Baker Mayfield, their offense will be a little more productive this season. So that defense should be even better. And they had corners that have more years in their belt. I mean, pass rushers to get more belt. The Commanders. There was a point at one time where the Commanders had a top 5 defense at one point. I'm not sure exactly what happened to them last season. But Chase Young's coming off that ACL tear. But if they can regain the form that they had a few years ago, they could be dangerous. dangerous. And 3 is the Raiders. Adding Chandler Jones, packaging him with Max Crosby, also adding Rocky Sin in the back end of the secondary. This is the Raiders defense that should be able to generate pass rush and should be able to get after the quarterback. Could be good in fantasy.
So I am, man, Philadelphia number 1. Shoot.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's tough, man. That's tough. I was a little bit disrespectful. I'm kind of disrespectful with Philly because when I was making these rankings, I'm like, damn, can Philly be better than like any of the top 5? I'm like, I don't know. Like I just don't know. And then I kept getting to like teams like New Orleans and Green Bay and the Chargers. And then I got to like Denver and Dallas, and I was like, okay, it's close. So 9, 10, 11 are pretty much ties for me, in my opinion. 9, 10, 11 are ties. I think Philly is a top 10 defense, in my opinion. I think 9, 10, 11 ties. I think they could possibly be better than the Chargers defense, and they could be up there with Green Bay and New Orleans. I don't know if they're better than San Francisco or Indy at this moment. We'll see. But at number 1, I got Buffalo. At number 2, LA, the Rams. I got at number 3, I got Tampa Bay. Number 4, I got Indianapolis. Number 5, I got San Francisco. I do agree with you; they are going to generate enough pass rush, and adding to various Ward does upgrade. Does give them a little bit, but their DBs are a little bit shaky though. I still think they'll they still have the best linebacker. Fred Warner is a monster. You still got Nick Bosa is a monster. I mean, they still have they got a bevy of guys that can get after.
Eric Armstead still.
Eric Armstead's a monster. So they still got a bevy of guys that are they still got Jimmy Ward there, right? So those in San Francisco still good defense. At number 6 got New Orleans. At number 7, we're right there in agreements, right? The Green Bay Packers. I think Green Bay can be possibly top 5. I couldn't pick them ahead of those other guys, but I still think Green Bay is a top 5 decent, at least top 10. They were a top 10 defense in total defense last season. So give me Green Bay. At number 8, I got the Chargers, the LA Chargers at number 8. And then at number 9, I got Denver. And like I said, number 9, 10, or 11, we could just chalk it up as a tie for me. Denver, Dallas, Philly, they can all finish either one of those sides. You can just swap them out and put them out in either or. I think Philly, all 3 of them are worthy of kind of being in the top 10. Dallas, turnover ratio was pretty good last year. If I'm not mistaken.
Best of the league, I think.
Best in the league, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that's why, and we all know this. When you can generate interceptions and fumbles and stuff like that, that's big time in fantasy. They put up some big numbers, especially then in the special teams too, right? We got to think about the special teams, right? We got Tony Pollard right back there returning kicks still for them, right? Yep. So that gives them a different dynamic when it comes to some of these other teams, right? And then at number 12, I got Miami. I'm agreeing with you. They have 2 of the best corners. My thing about Miami, if they kind of come out slow a little bit, they were hurting some teams last year coming out slow, but then the second half of the season they actually paid dividends for teams and actually were had high usage as starter percentage in the playoffs for Miami. And then at number 13, Baltimore, number 14, Cleveland, and then number 15, New England. I know they had the worst. They was probably like, what the hell you got New England in your top 15? It's still Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's a defensive mastermind. I think he'll be able to, still have those guys, still, adequate enough. They could fall out this top 15. I just can't bet against Bill Belichick in a way when it comes to defense, right? And then my sleepers, Minnesota, the utilizing 3 safeties in this 3-4 scheme is really interesting to me. I think Minnesota's got something there. With their new defensive coordinator. And then my second sleeper is Cincinnati. And then my third sleeper is Carolina. With Cincinnati, Jesse Bates, the
holdout situation.
Yeah, holdout situation right now. They might be a little higher on this list. But I still think that's a sneaky team right there. Von Bell's a good player. Adding Cam Taylor-Britt, adding Dax Hill in the draft, that's gonna elevate. That's gonna add some depth to their DB core. Awuzie is a good solid cornerback as well. Mike Hilton's a good solid cornerback as well. The front seven with Trey Hendrickson, he played really well last year. So, I like Cincinnati to be a sleeper defense this year. They're going to build off that momentum that got them to the Super Bowl. And I think Cincinnati's a team that can generate some pass rush as well. So give me Cincinnati as a sleeper this year in fantasy.
Yeah, so we have a comment here from David Henderson. Again, I can't see on StreamYard. I think it's something to do with your settings. You might have to check that later. But he says he's surprised that we both have the Cleveland Browns so low. I have them at 15, you have at 14. And the rationale for me is I expect them to be on the field a lot, especially if Deshaun Watson, let's just pretend he's suspended this season. Like Jacoby Brissett is a game manager. Like they're going to run the ball a lot. Like this defense is going to be on the field a lot. They're going to give up some yards. They give us some plays, and they play against Cincinnati, and they have a pretty tough schedule. I just don't trust their defense. That's just the way I feel about it. I just I know they have some talent. I know there's I know they have Myles Garrett is probably he could be in the running for defensive player of the year probably depending on how things shake out. But I just think they're going to be on the field more than you would expect.
Yeah, no, I'm in totally agreement with you. I think that the Cleveland Browns are going to be on the field a lot. That doesn't bode. I mean, it's a good and a bad thing. That doesn't bode well for them to pop out. And I mean, they got Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney. We all know Jadeveon Clowney's great in against the run, but he's not a pass rusher. He's not your elite pass rusher. He's not a guy that's going to get to the quarterback, like Myles Garrett's going to get to the quarterback. You know what I mean? Jeremiah Caramel.
He's never been that guy.
He's never been that guy. Never, ever been that guy. And, their weak side linebacker, the outside linebacker from last year from Notre Dame, he's going to take a step up. They still got, Denzel Ward's coming up on the physical. He's on the PUP list as well. Grant Delpite, we'll see what he is. He hasn't. Yeah,
he might be on the PUP list too. Didn't he mess up his
Greedy Williams, Greg Newsome's a solid cornerback. I like their defense. David Henderson's got a talented defense, but like David said, they have some injuries and they might be on the football field a lot. So that doesn't bode well for any defense when they're always constantly on the field. But they could be a top 10. They're in the top 15. They could be in the top 10.
We're in agreement on that front. But yeah, that's been our 2022 fantasy football rankings, our entire season projections. Let us know down in the comment section what you thought about our rankings as we rank quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and the defenses. Like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Also, tomorrow we're going to be giving out some fake awards. So we're going to try to predict who's going to win every major award in the National Football League. And let us know who you think is going to win, all the major awards in the National Football League. I've been David Huppin right there, Mr. Israel Rivera, CEO of Prime Sports World. And Izzy, what are we doing here at the Prime, my friend?
Man, we bring that heat, ladies and gentlemen. 24/7 bringing the heat. Prime Sports World, you better catch us every day, baby.
Please like, share, and subscribe. We will see you guys tomorrow. You all have a good rest of your day. Peace out, brother.